Well, hey, I hope you're having a great day. I'm here in my little spare room. I thought I would show you some of the tricks or that I use to get lacy looking bushes when I'm painting the Bob Ross style of painting. Here we go. I'm going to turn you around. Okay, so I threw together this tiny little painting with a pond because I could have just done it on a plain canvas, but I wanted something pretty in the background. I have some colors here on my palette. I'm going to show you the palette in just a moment. But I just realized I was out of some cadmium yellow, so I'm going to put a little bit of that down. And I'll be using, I'm going to use two 1-inch brushes. I like to have a dark brush and a light brush. So I'll have two 1-inch brushes going, and I'll have a little bit of cadmium yellow and a little bit of yellow ochre and some bright red down. Now you'll see that I have already got a little bit of green, like I have a little bit of peanut butter mixed into my chocolate, a little bit of green swirled into my cadmium yellow. That's because I did the tappy grass down here. Call it tappy grass. And so it automatically mixes up because I did just do this. Now, I have two brushes, and this one I'll use for the foliage. I'll use this one for the underpainting. Now, a lot of people want to skip the underpainting, and it's very important that you don't skip the underpainting. I got a bristle and a pile of paint here, so picking that up. Aha. There's the culprit. Okay, so I'm going to hold my palette, and I'm going to hold it here where you can see, and then I'm going to show you a couple ways. But I will start with the crimp edge coming toward me, and this is mountain mixture, and I pull it through and I kind of kick the bristles out like so. Now another way I'm going to try to show you on my palette, because a lot of you paint with your palette paper on a table. So if you've got your brush standing straight up, and then as you come across, and try to get it where you can see, as you come across, you kick your bristles out. Now when you do that, I want to show you what you end up with. I can show you a couple ways. What you end up with on the end of your brush. Look at that right there. Do you see the goop? I call them goobers. If I touch here and I lift off, you see the little peaks and valleys? I call those goobers, and whatever you have right here when you touch that is the mirror image of what you have here. I hope that's not too close. I'm still trying to find a good setup here. But what I want you to notice is that with both the underpainting and the highlight, it's important to have little tiny pieces of paint, but also your brush needs to be spread out where there's spaces between the tiny pieces of paint. And you can tell that by looking at the end of the brush or by looking at what you leave behind when you just kind of touch. And I think, Bob says a lot of the painting is done on your palette before you ever apply it to your canvas. So I came through with my crimp. Now I've done a lot of extra since then, so I'm going to do it again. Come through with my crimp, and I kick my bristles out, and then I'm going to turn my brush. Sorry, I'm trying to juggle everything. And come here, and I'm holding my brush back here. Do you see that? And I touch, and then just kind of bend my bristles. Okay? There was a movie, Bend and Snap. I had Bend and Snap. And it's kind of like that, Bend and Snap. Now see how lacy that looks? Now I did you can kind of see the pattern. You don't always want a pattern. You can go in there and kind of throw that off. But that's what you want. You don't want it to be gobby. But the reason you have all that is when you touch those bristles. I'm going to load it again. And then you touch it to when you load your bristles in, you touch it to the canvas, and then you kind of bend and pull away. You're going to get the mirror image of what's on here. I'm going to load my brush again, and I'll show you again. I'm going to come over here. I'll do a tall one. Touch, bend, watching Bend and Snap. It's like Beauty Shop or some movie like that where they said Bend and Snap. Now I'm getting quite a few. This is Mountain Mixture, and this is like a proprietary, did I say that right, blend that Bob Ross puts out, and it's nice and firm. And so because you want that underpainting to be firm, okay? Look how many I got out of that. But I didn't just go bam, bam, okay? I did put more pressure on it than I'm gonna put with highlights. But you don't have to slap it. In fact, the lighter your touch with this, and now if I say that and then somebody just goes like this, then that's not gonna work. But my point is, don't take a running start and just slam it, okay? You want to, let me see how much more I can get. Have like moderate pressure. Now, what happens a lot of times that I notice is as a person starts running out of paint on their brush, they're tempted to push harder, and then they get mud. Now, I'm going to let this brush rest, and then I'm going to bring this brush up because I'm going to put the highlight color on it. Now, before I put the highlight color on it, I do go here and I'll get a little bit of that underpaint color. Okay, I like to dirty my brush up a little bit, and then I'll come in here with maybe some sap green, and I load it pretty much the same way. Kick the bristles out, and to test it, I just kind of touch and I look and I make sure I've got little peaks and valleys there. Now, I don't think that's going to show up real well against there, so I'll go into some cad yellow, and oh my, look at the peaks and valleys. I've got a lot of them there. So let's see, I'm going to hold my mouth right and see. Okay, it does show up. Maybe I'll wipe. I probably should have used fresh yellow, but I'm going to wipe my brush a little bit and maybe make it to where it shows up better, because I think it might not be showing up as well for you as it is for me. Maybe it's showing up better for you than it is for me. That would be great. But I did the same way that I loaded it, and see how that just gives you the nice little highlights, and yeah, I say the dark, okay? Now, what I often have my students do, because your foliage brush now, look, it's kind of dirty. It's kind of stuck together a little bit there. We don't want a lot of that stuck togetherness, but where that's really dark, you can just kind of graze that, because you're not trying to squeeze out all the paint. You don't want to waste the paint. But now I'm going to show you how to load again. But look at all those, you know, think about it like a relief map, or, you know, think of all this here. You get the direct opposite of that on your canvas, and that's what we're going for. All right, so you pull and kick those bristles out, and then like I say, I just kind of touch a little bit to see what I've got. Got a little bit of, there we go. Now I'm going to come in here and just kind of highlight. Yay. Okay. Now, I'm going to graze my brush again. I call it graze it across a paper towel because I picked up a lot of that underpainting, but that's okay. And then I'm gonna go into some yellow ochre. That's this here. Right here, it's like a golden color. Come across there, kick the bristles out, and then I see what I've got. I'm just show you. You can see this even better, I think. Do you see all the little goobers? Okay. And then I come in here and touch very lightly. Very lightly. And I can tell that it's not very distinct as I come down. So I repeat the process. And a lot of people don't really want to go through the trouble of grazing that brush. But if you will graze that brush, it really does help to keep your paint from getting too contaminated with the underpainting color. I mean, we want it to mix some because that'll look more natural. Okay, and have that kind of overlap there a little bit. All right, now Again, I'm gonna graze. Just tickle, tickle, tickle. I tell people too, you wanna get the color on the tiptoes of the brush, on the tippy toes. You're not trying to run color all up in here, because a lot of times what I notice people do, and I think I'll show you that here in a minute because I want to show you the bright red. Graze, graze. I grazed across there, and I think I'll believe there's a little small one, a little bright red one. I hope you can see that. You can see it. I'm going to go here and get a little bright red. Touch it. Got lots of little goobers. See that? Always look at your brush. It makes it take a little longer. But, you know, what would you rather? Would you rather, you know, really learn how to do this? Because as you get more practice, you get faster. And you might not feel like you've got to, like you'll watch your palette more, and you don't feel like you've got to like turn every brush and look at it every single time. But it's just like everything. If you just load your brush without looking and just like whack, whack, then it's going to be a happy accident for it to turn out just right. You know, be deliberate about the choices that you make. Okay, one more thing. I'm going to show you something that I see sometimes that people do that causes them problems. Is, well, they just push that paint so much, or they're just dabbing it. They're just mashing it in there. And I'm doing it right. I'm not trying to do it right. So let me just try to make it wrong. Or anyway, they get this pinched to where it's all pinched together. And then when they come up, they have little lines. And they're like, it's just making lines. And that's because that your brush, the bristles are stuck together. See how they're matted? It didn't really get as matted. But if you've had little lines appear, then it's more than likely because you weren't really watching. Your brush wasn't fluffy anymore. And we always watch in class, okay, is your brush still fluffy? It needs to be fluffed out, because if not, these little gobs of paint are not going to have little places on the ends to sit on, okay? Okay, I just wanted to share that with you. I'll probably scrape this off and have it ready for another, you know, little tips video. I hope you have a great day, and God bless, my friend.